and welcome to episode 6 of the Tyddyn Bryn podcast. Today is the 30th of July, it's a Sunday. My other half is at work and I have just put little man down to sleep, so fingers crossed he stays that way for a little bit. So long time no see. Since I last saw you, we have survived little man having an ear infection and requiring antibiotics, little man having the chicken pox, and being out of nursery and therefore me being at home from work, grandma coming to look after him, daddy having a couple of days off work. We've sold the house in Bristol and we've sold our house here now, and so we are nearly all go and ready for going to the farm. I finished work, not just because of the end of term but also because I've quit my job, and James has handed in his notice, so we should be finished now by the end of August and ready to head down to the farm. Little man has also had his last day at nursery and I am kind of wondering, what have I done? Why have I left him out of nursery? Why haven't I kept him in a couple of days a week? That would have been good. So, as I just said, I have finished my job and I just had to nip downstairs and get a few bits because I'd forgotten them. And I got some absolutely amazing gifts from some of the parents and children that I've worked with over the last couple of years. One of which being this beautiful stone. I don't know if this is going to come out back to front but it's a beautiful hand-painted stone. And it says, "Wherever you are, know this to be true. The difference you made to a child who knew you. The difference you made isn't small, isn't mild. It's the difference you made to the life of my child." How wonderful is that? And I also had the most amazing poem written for me. I will put the photo of it in here. So, on to knitting. I've actually got some bits and pieces done recently. I'm really chuffed with myself. Sorry, I'm kneeling on the floor in my spare room. There's pretty much nowhere I can podcast, it feels like, at the moment at this house. I think I'm going to have to try and do all my podcasting now from the farm. But anyway, knitting. So I have finished a Hitchhiker by Martina Bem. It's in the Owl About Yarn Happy Owl BFL fingering weight, and it's the colourway Heroes. It is stunning. I shall insert some photos of it here. Because I have gifted it already. It was a present for William's primary caregiver at nursery. I have also finished another Hitchhiker. This time it's for me. And this is an Easy Knits. And it is, let's try and get the colours there. It is their Deeply Wicked Plus, and it's the colourway Zippy. And isn't this absolutely amazeballs? Absolutely amazeballs. I love it. It is so bright and zingy. I don't know if they're really coming out, but it is really bright and zingy, the colours. So this Hitchhiker is for me. So I've also been giving my sock yarn blankets a little bit of love recently, adding a couple of new squares. Excuse the mess of threads. I'm not looking forward to weaving those in. So this is the first one, which is just all of my hand-dyed yarns, some bits and pieces. And the second one, which is a little bit bigger, is all the sock yarns I've ever used. So it's starting to square, well, it's squared off nicely into a corner, so I'm now starting to work my way out from that corner, I think, to try and keep it as a nice square. Again, spaghetti junction on the back there. So I've given them some love recently, and before Christmas I made Zoe of the Pins and Needles podcast and Jenny of All About Yarn a sock head hat each. I shall insert some photos of those here. The sock head hat is by Kelly McClure, and I was using yarn that I'd purchased on the Great London Yarn Crawl. Well, I purchased myself a skein of yarn on the Great London Yarn Crawl, and this is Hedgehog Fibres, and it is, let me have a look at the label here, Hedgehog Fibres Twisted Sock, and it is the pheasant colourway. Look at that, rather amazing. And I have cast on myself a sock head hat in that yarn. There's my needle keeper on attached. So there we go, progress so far. The endless ribbing has finished and I'm now on to the main body of the hat. So just another 7 or 8 inches to go there. So that should be nice and snugly warm for autumn, ready for the farm. Right, on to sewing. I've been giving the curtains a bit of a blast the last month or so, and I have finished the kitchen curtains. I shall insert some photos of those here. And I've sewn the lounge curtains, for the lounge windows anyway. I'll try and insert some photos of those ones here as well. I still need to hem the lounge curtains, and then I need to make the patio door curtains to cover up the great big expansive window which is going to let all the heat out in the winter. I haven't managed to sew any more clothing, but next weekend I hope my little overlocker, which is sat currently on the end of the bed here, will have a little trip to the farm, so that'll help matters out a bit and I'll be able to get some more sewing done. On to acquisitions then. I have bought some fabric from the Fabric Godmother. Oh, dangerous, dangerous website. Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. There's too many lovely things. I wanted to buy so much more. But I bought these two fabrics. I'll insert a picture here because they're currently sat at the farm waiting for me to cut them out. The purpley one is a cotton and linen mix fabric, and it is called Loganberry, the colourway. And I'm planning to make a linen apron dress for myself from that one, using the Simplicity pattern that I bought a while ago. And the jersey is a Pisa cotton jersey in black, and it's a lightweight jersey. So I'm hoping to make myself a lighter weight cocoa dress, because I have worn my purple cocoa dress a lot this year. I've really, really loved it. And it's been a bit warm at times in some of the hotter weather, so I think we'll make myself a lighter weight one. I think that'll be a good idea. I might also, if there's enough, make an Agnes top and maybe knock the colourful sleeves off the Agnes top I made before off that one, because it was a very thick, heavyweight and slightly shiny jersey that I'm still not sure of. So what I might do is just cut the body out of the lighter weight jersey in the black, and then just add the colourful sleeves onto that. And with the linen, if there's enough, I might make James's waistcoat fronts. And if there's enough again, I might make a little matching one for little man, because we've got another wedding coming up now in September. So, other acquisitions then. I have acquired myself a lovely new crafty thing from Zoe of the Pins and Needles podcast. This is a black sheep brooch needle felting kit, and it's from Hawthorne Handmade. and it's Shetland and Jacob and BFL wool, and it's for a needle felted brooch. Isn't he sweet? And she got me the foam pad to go with it, so I'm going to have a little stab at that one, I think, at some point soon. And you've got to see this as well. She wrapped the present up so beautifully, and look at this ribbon she's used. And it matched the tissue paper that she had absolutely perfectly. So I'll have to think of something to use that for. But in the meantime, into Crafty Stash it goes. And then the final acquisition. Sorry, I have my iPad right next to you with some show notes on. And but my final acquisition is a mug for the Knit Tea Retreat. I am one of the first people to get one of these mugs for the Knit Tea Retreat. Now, if you don't follow the ladies, they have set up newsletters, an Instagram account, a blog, all under the name Knit Tea Retreat. Get over there, get following, and come along. It sounds like it's going to be absolutely great. They will be gradually releasing information about tutors and various other bits and pieces over the next couple of months, I think. So that's it for acquisitions. So shop update. I've been working hard in my first week since finishing work and the last week of serving in nursery, so it actually gave me some time. So Tyddyn Bryn is no longer a WordPress.com site. It is tyddynbryn.com. Head over and have a snoop. There's often additional bits of content over there, but sort of over and above the podcasty stuff. So go and have a look, see what you think, let me know. I've also had a bit of a site revamp. Thank you, Jenny, for helping me out and figuring out and showing me how to add sort of the pages, menu-y bits and pieces that auto-link to other places. That was absolutely fantastic, so thank you, Jen. And I have skeined up some of the lovely alpaca yarn that I have had spun up from the fleeces I had. So I have skeined up this lovely caramelly colour and this lovely grey. This one's the lighter grey. I've still got this cone to go and this cone to go. So those two great big things. And then the last little bit of the grey. So I've got a charcoal and a black still to skein up. And I plan to do a bit of knitting up with those, but more about that in a moment. I've also written up another pattern. The pattern is for my broadleaf hat, which I'll be releasing hopefully fairly soon. It's about to wing its way to a lovely tech editor, and then hopefully we'll be ready for releasing. I intend using up some of the odds and ends. So the cones of yarn didn't obviously exactly make up X number of 100 gram skeins of alpaca. So the little bits of leftovers that I've got, I intend using up to knit up a broadleaf hat sample. So I'll get a good idea then of how the yarn knits up before I put it up for sale. And so I also have a sample of the hat for any future bits and pieces that I do, because I gifted the original hat away 2 Christmases ago, I think now. So finally, farm updates. James has planted some veg plants, some courgettes, some tomatoes, some melons. Not entirely sure what else survived. He planted some of them out, and then we made a makeshift polytunnel type, cold frame. And I don't know how many survived the things like the snails and slugs and the weeds and everything else that decided to conspire against them the moment we planted them out. So James is now facing the battle of the weeds. So yesterday we had to go out and buy a hoe so he could get rid of the weeds a little bit more efficiently, because the hoe that we had already bought for the farm, he didn't like. It was one of the 3-pronged hoes, and I think he wants a Dutch hoe. So we've been out and we bought one of those now. So we'll see how how able he is to keep on top of the weeds with that. I can't really wait now to be there so we can actually just keep on top of things now. Dad's bought us a new piece of kit, but that's for another time, as it hasn't actually been delivered to us just yet. All the curtain poles are up, there's shelving up, there's more blinds been ordered for the upstairs windows, because we've decided that the blackout blinds actually keep the heat out in the summer and will probably keep the heat in a bit more in the winter out of the Velux windows, because the whole of our upstairs is almost basically in the roof. So we've got Velux windows in the roof there. So basically any heat that comes upstairs then will travel out through those windows. So if we can prevent that as much as possible, will be amazing. James is looking into how his workshop is going to be built and where. I've contacted an architect about sorting out the tin hut and converting it into a cabin. And each time we go down, there are more and more things travelling down with us. So the last couple of times it was all my teaching resources, having moved out of my classroom. So that was 11 years of teaching, crammed into a car and run down. And thank goodness, I was going to say, thank goodness for the expedite units, or their Calax I think they're now called. Thank goodness for those, because that seems to have hidden away most of my teaching resources, although we do now need to buy another one, I think, just to finish off. So the whole length of the hallway upstairs, the landing upstairs, is going to have those units down the side. And yeah, so I think that's about it. Other than the rising list of things we need to do at the farm, every time we go down we seem to find more and more things that we need to do, want to do, like getting the field cut for hay and getting it baled up as hay rather than haylage. Then finding somewhere dry to store that, making sure it's in the driest part of one of the barns, ready for when we get some animals now in the autumn. Yeah, ever expanding to-do lists. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed this podcast, probably fairly short and sweet. Don't forget you can find me on Instagram, Twitter and Etsy as Tyddyn Bryn, and there's a Facebook group for Tyddyn Bryn as well. Pop over, have a snoop at the new tyddynbryn.com website and see what you think of that new layout, new links, etc, etc. Let me know what you think, and see you again soon. Bye!